there, it's Vicki McCarthy from Aussie Stampers. Thank you very much for joining me again today. Today's project, I am using the Fairy Celebration stamp set, and I'm teaming it with a little Foxy Designer Series paper stack. Now these two cards are the two cards we'll be making today. One is monochrome and one is lightly coloured. I have also done a video on this watercoloured card using the Fairy Celebration, and if you want to have a look at how to make this card, you can just scroll back through my videos and see it there. And in this card I've used the Stampin Up watercolour paper. The other two cards are the ones that we'll be looking at today. Now a little Foxy is 48 sheets of the Designer Series paper stack. And these are the designs. What I've done is gone through and just got out each of the designs to show you. There's 4 each of 12 double-sided designs, so you have an unlimited amount of cards to work with. And the colours in these are Calypso Coral, Pool Party, Smoky Slate and Whisper White. And you can see on the back I've got mainly the Smoky Slate colours here, but some of the Pool Party and Calypso Coral coming in now as well. I just love these, and I must say that they are my favourite of all the Designer Series papers in the catalogue this year. There are some other beautiful papers too, but this one is my absolute favourite. And it's meant to go with Foxy Friends punch set and stamp set, but I'm going to use it with the Fairy Celebration because if you look on the stamp here, she's sitting on a little toadstool, and these two images that I've chosen in the Smoky Slate and White and in the Multicolours and White have little toadstools in the background, so I thought, wouldn't that be fun to create some cards using that as the background paper. The first card, which is the monochromatic card, I'm putting that onto Smoky Slate paper, and I have stamped the image on the inside on Whisper White, and I'm going to layer it all together. I've stamped using the archival grey ink, the fairy image for the outside and the inside, and then on some Smoky Slate cardstock I've embossed in white embossing powder one of the images from the Crazy About You stamp set. In fact, I've put two images together to create the little saying, "You make me happy." I also have some of this gorgeous silver satin ribbon, and I've used the oval framelits to cut out the image. This is the image I put on the inside, and the toadstool goes on the outside. So here's how you put it all together. I'm going to use some tape on the back of the Designer Series paper, and this is how I tape my papers together. I take the tape over the edge and then come back with the scissors with the snips and cut it right to the edge, because the edges of the card are the weakest point and you want to make sure that they are well adhered. And this is the best way to do it. Now I'm going to show you how it's put together roughly before I start adhering it. What I need to do on this little Smoky Slate piece, I'm going to create a flagged end. So I'm marking it with a pencil, popping it into the triple banner punch, lining it up and punching a flag into the end of that piece. So it's roughly going to look like this. So what I need to do next is to adhere this ribbon, or at least mark where the ribbon is going to go, so that when I'm ready to adhere it I'll know where to lay the ribbon. So I'll just straighten all that up and mark with pencil on the back where I want the ribbon to go. Now I'm going to peel off the top of that tape and then lay this down on the ribbon and then fold it across. And now I'm going to adhere that to the Smoky Slate card base. As you can see, I've cut it 1/8 of an inch smaller all the way around. Now I'm going to put some dimensionals on that oval piece of the little fairy sitting on the mushroom that I've cut out with the oval framelits. And I've put plenty of dimensionals on the back of that. And that just goes in the centre of the ribbon, slightly towards the top of the page, adhering now this banner, and I'm putting it right on the edge of the cardstock on the right hand side, and using Tombow multi-adhesive for that. Now I'm going to put the inner lining in, again with the tape on the back, and I'm just going to pop in this little image that I've stamped with the grey archival ink inside the card. And the smoky slate and the silvers and the whisper white all look really well together. I'm really happy with the combination that I've chosen for that card. So there's the first one finished. The second card is a similar paper, but it's much more colourful. I've stamped the small image and also the message, which reads, "Have a magical celebration" underneath and "Happy birthday" on the top. And I've used that smaller fairy. Now I'm going to put the inner lining in first. It doesn't really matter which order you do this. I just decided to do this piece first this time. Take some time to line it up. And that's just on a piece of whisper white stamped with the archival grey ink. I have some silver washi tape which I found in my stash. I had a lot of greys and silvers, and I decided I'd use this one. I have some soft sky ink and some Calypso coral. I could have used Pool Party ink, but I didn't want it to be too intense, so I've chosen a softer blue. Now with your brush tip, I'm going to create one of these little Calypso coral mushrooms that's on the background paper. So I'm just colouring in the cap of the mushroom using Calypso coral. And if you find you want it to spread better, I would actually suggest you bring in your blender pen and wet the paper first with your blender pen. And this really helps when you're colouring large areas to keep it nice and even. Just take a little bit of care in those areas that are very delicate. Between the dots on the toadstool, you want to make sure that you stay within the lines. And then once you get to this stage, you can turn your marker around to the fine tip and just finish off with the fine tip for any of those delicate lines. Next I'm bringing in the soft sky, and I'm going to colour the 3 poppies, just so that I'm using the 3 colours that are in the background paper on the front. I'm not going to colour all of the parts of the image. I just want this to be a fairly graphic design. And now I'm going to colour in the base of the toadstool to match the toadstools that are on the designer series paper, and I'm using smoky slate for this. I'm using the brush tip to begin with, and then as it becomes a finer detail, I'm turning it to the fine point and finishing it off with the fine point of the marker. Now I'm going to adhere that again with some tape down 2 sides of that designer series paper strip, and line that up and adhere it onto the front of the Pool Party piece that I've cut long ways. Now I'm going to adhere this piece with some Tombow multi-adhesive and place it on at an angle. You can see I've cut this out after I've stamped it, and I've left a little bit more space at the top. This is because I want to have room to put this washi tape on. I trimmed this down in my trimmer after I'd stamped it to the size I thought would fit best on the card. I'm putting 2 pieces, one slightly above the other, and tearing the edge. And it's a lovely silver washi tape, this one. It really shines in the light, so I'm very happy with how this one turned out as well. There's the inside with that smaller fairy. So here are the 2 cards finished. The original smoky slate and whisper white card with the silver ribbon, and the 3 colour card which has the washi tape. So I hope you enjoyed that project today. Thank you very much for watching, and if you are interested in having a look at that watercolour card, just scroll back through to see how I coloured in the entire image on the inside and the outside of the card. So there are 2 cards using the Fairy Celebration stamp set and the Foxy Friends Designer Series paper. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.